Okay, that's fine. Okay, cool. All right.
Okay. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, tweakity tweak tweak. We're ready now. Okay, so we will. Hello, mouse. Hello, mouse. Okay, I know you're here somewhere. There you are. Okay. Here we go in 5, 4.
Hi, welcome, and sorry we're a little bit late. So I'm going to read from book 7 tonight. It's called Rewire, and I'm going to talk about a person, a character who's been in the series since the very first book. But she's not been a character, she's just been known for her pies. And I knew that I was going to write a story about Sue, but I didn't know what that was going to be about. And it took until book 7 for me to, for Sue to tell me what her story was. So I'm going to read you a little bit about it tonight. Sue's pies were infused with a secret ingredient that only people who truly love to cook know about. Sue was blessed with knowing which spices and the exact amounts to add to her pie fillings. Her crusts were buttery, flaky, and melt in your mouth. Her pie aficionados swore there was a magical element to her pies that brought them pure joy. Sometimes she caught desperate customers combing through her trash, hoping to find her secret. Baking pies was a soothing balm for Sue. Baking was her therapy. She loved the silence in preparing, measuring, weighing, baking her pies. She processed her feelings, she acknowledged information to herself, and navigated her way to more choices than she thought she had. Even those people who inspected home kitchens and shut them down stayed clear of hers. In the 12 years she'd been baking pies to sell, not one food inspector ever graced her doors looking for an excuse to shut her down. Sue was not a plump baker. You'd think she'd be as big as a house given all the baking she'd done, all the fillings and crusts she'd tasted. In her more cynical days, she questioned whether not getting enough to eat as a child stunted her insides to where she couldn't put any weight on. As a child, she had never felt full. She never felt like she got enough to eat, what with Mama having to decide whether or not she was going to feed her daughter or get herself more booze. And as an adult, she ate what she wanted and never worried about her weight. Some women would think of that as a blessing. Sue wasn't sure given the price she'd paid. But getting back to her pies brought in the necessary income which she was grateful for, especially after Ronnie was deployed. More and more people wanted her delicious concoctions. She had started by baking only apple pies, since that was the one fruit in Walkerville produced in abundance and at low cost. Gradually, with her steady income, she expanded her repertoire to include different types of fruit pies. Cora Worthy, owner of Worthy's Restaurant and Bar, became a steady customer. Cora's standing order every Friday and Saturday night was 8 pies each night, of Sue's choice. Besides the standing order from Cora, she baked a dozen pies every day, except Sunday and Monday. No one cared what kind of pies. Peach, apple, blackberry, strawberry, raspberry, blueberry. They loved them all. The smell of burnt sugar twitched through her nasal passages. She had been daydreaming again. Sue ran to the stove where a saucepan was burning. It contained a pie mixture of brown sugar, fresh grated spices, including cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger, with a touch of lemon zest. The pan was scorched on one side, and she tried to taste it, but it burned her tongue instead. In frustration, she pitched the pot into her sink, filling it with water. Looking at the clock, she realized she had only 5 hours to bake 8 pies for Worthies, her most regular and consistent customer. Overwhelmed and desolate, she sank into a chair, her hands covering her weary facade. She couldn't keep losing time like this. She had been sleepwalking for the better part of 12 years, and it was time to wake up if she wanted to participate in her life rather than continue life as a bystander. So that's the first piece, and we get a little glimpse of Sue's baking process, and we get an understanding, that she probably has a secret, and there's a lot of secrets in Walkerville. So let's learn a little bit more about Sue. That dream woke her up again. For the past few months, Ronnie came to her, his hazel eyes full of unshed tears, his hands in front of his chest, palms out as if to say, "Stop." These dreams made her anxious, and it was almost impossible for her to fall back asleep. She couldn't fathom what Ronnie wanted. What was he trying to tell her? Was he asking her for forgiveness? Was he giving her permission to tell her secret? She was thirsty. When she woke from these dreams, she felt hungover, like she had consumed a gallon of alcohol. Leaving the bed, she found her way to the kitchen, where she drank several glasses of cold water. She opened her back door, leaned against the door jamb, and felt a hearty breeze. The kitchen light cast a cone-shaped glow in her small backyard. It was mostly paved with concrete. Eventually, she wanted to tear it out and replace it with a wooden deck. In the far corner was a pine tree. She had planted it on their first Christmas together. The tiny pine in its 8-inch pot, with its 3 forlorn red ornaments and a bit of tinsel, had been all they could afford. She remembered placing it on their kitchen table, on top of an upturned cooking pot for height, and she wrapped a white sheet around it. She added a few more ornaments and strung lights around it and around the table. That tiny pine was now over 15 feet tall. The cool breeze fanned her lanky brown hair. She gathered it off her neck, winding it up with her hands, and tied it in a knot. Her best features were her eyes. They were brown with naturally dark lashes, and her own natural eyebrows were perfectly arched. She bit and pursed her lips a lot, giving them a worn look, as if she was always anxious. Her thin frame was boyish, and she gave the appearance of someone who was cautious and aloof, when in fact she was desperately shy. Social interactions with people left her exhausted, and more often than not she didn't answer her phone, even when an order came in. She could go for days without talking with a human being. She was so used to this, she wasn't sure if she was lonely or she was trying to convince herself she was content. And how would she know? She heard a weak cry. Laying on the cement a few feet away, between the kitchen light and the dark yard, she saw a small orange tabby. It looked bloody and had difficulty holding up its head. Sue ran over to it. Reluctant to pick up the cat, she crouched closely and took a quick inventory. The female tabby had blood all over her abdomen. She hurried to the bathroom for a thick towel to wrap it in. The cat definitely needed a vet. Feebly hissing at Sue, who wrapped her up in the thick towel, the cat began to feel comforted. Glancing at the kitchen clock, Sue wasn't sure when Pet's Hospital opened. Looking down at the cat, who looked like every breath was a struggle, she carried it to her bedroom. She was quietly telling the cat she was going to take her to the vet, but first she had to put on some clothes and grab her car keys. Sue quickly dressed and glanced at her bedroom clock. It was 8:30 in the morning, and she wondered if it was too early for an emergency visit. Gently carrying the cat to her car, she placed the bundle on the passenger seat. They were off to the vet. Walking down the short hallway, Josie introduced herself. I'm Josie. What's your name and your kitty's name? Sue. I'm Sue. She spoke quickly, wanting to make sure this woman understood this was not her cat. I don't know this cat. She just ended up in my backyard. Smiling reassuredly, Josie said, Hi, Sue. Let's get you and your cat back here. Will you follow me, please? Stopping at a closed door, Josie opened it, letting Sue in first. Sue repeated, She's not my cat. She's feral. I just found her outside my kitchen door. Josie turned to her, still smiling. Okay, good to know. The doctor will be here shortly. Inside the antiseptic, gleaming white exam room, Josie showed her the small wooden bench. May I ask you to sit here? Sue smiled tentatively. The cat was starting to move around. She was making wailing noises every few minutes. Josie said, Why don't I hold the cat while you fill out this information? They exchanged clipboard for cat. As Sue was filling out the information, a handsome dark-haired man rushed in. Taking a deep breath, he held out his hand to Sue. I'm Dr. Lively. Call me Al. You are? Sue awkwardly shook his hand. I'm Sue Reynolds. Josie, who had put the cat down on the stainless steel table, exclaimed, The Sue Reynolds? Pie Lady Sue Reynolds? Sue was taken aback. She had never heard herself described this way. I guess, yeah, I bake pies. Al smiled. Cool. So that's it for tonight. It's the seventh book of the series called Rewire. It's about Sue and pies and her falling in love, and there's continuing, other Walkerville people show up in the book. We got Rowan and Bree and Fiona and Francis, and we've got more of Paws and people like that. Thank you for joining me, and tomorrow we'll be reading some more from Rewire. Don't forget to look below on the YouTube page and click like if you like us. And you can find information about how to get in touch with, if you've got any questions or feedback. I would love to hear from you. Also, AC, our Factotum, is archiving all of these readings. And there's a link to that playlist below as well, along with the link for tomorrow's live stream. So I'm going to be back at 11 my time tomorrow night, which is going to be Thursday night. And I hope to see you then, and take care. Thank you.